Welcome back, guys, to the Freedom365 Podcast. This is episode number 4. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, these come out to you. This one coming out a little bit later. Usually these premiere at about 9 a.m. Eastern, but my guy, Austin Hilton, is in Mexico right now, so he's enjoying some sunlight out there on the beach, but I'm with my guy, Mo Nasr, here today. Mo is actually my business manager and Austin's business manager. He's had a ton of success. And a lot of the podcasts that we want to do are just have conversations with people from all different backgrounds, all walks of life, doing different things, but finding some kind of success. So, Mo, welcome to the show, man.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited.
Definitely, man. So take us through your journey. And I know you've started a number of businesses, but take us back from the beginning and how you, well, first off, how did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Ooh, okay. So I moved to America when I was 10 years old. And when I moved here, it was just me, my mother, and my sister. And I didn't speak English. So it was a little difficult to adjust at first, but the whole idea of the move was to find opportunity. And we came from Sudan, and Sudan is a third world country, but it's not bad because Sudan's all about family and love. So I kind of got to take that cultural variable and bring it here with me. And that's why I have so many cousins and family here, because over the years, a lot of them started coming, which is awesome, right? So turned about 14, 15 and realized that I wanted to make a future, but I didn't know how. And I was also not in like the best financial position because my family did not have very much money here at all. So basically, I spent that time just kind of learning skills and learning how to sell. I had a job right away when I was 14. So the day I had turned 14, I wanted a cell phone. Actually, this is really what happened, you guys. I got selfish. I wanted a cell phone because greed's what sparks, like, I guess, ambition. So I wanted a cell phone, and mom's like, you want a cell phone? You better go figure it out. I'm not paying for that. I'm like, damn. So I really, really wanted one so I can talk to chicks. And I finally, I went and got a job. And back then, I lived in this apartment, and right down the hill there was a fairway. So I would walk my ass, and I was kind of a big kid. I was a really big kid actually, and I'd walk every freaking day for the first week, 5 days straight, because I wanted this job, and I wanted to talk to chicks so bad and get this phone. So I would go down every day, 5 days straight, asked, and he just kept saying no. So I gave him a couple more days after that week. Came back the next week, Friday, and he goes, honestly, yeah, I like your consistency. I'm like, oh, okay. So gave me a job. Within 3 months, I had enough money to buy a phone, and I bought the first Razor. Okay, I was kids. Remember, y'all remember the Razors? So I got the Razor, and I love it. I'm just sitting in class, opening it and closing it, and that sparked my love for tech. Actually, I think that's the basics of what like started my, okay, I like tech. In order to get tech, I need to have a job. In order to have a job, I just need to keep working. And I worked at Fairway every day from 4 to 8, because at that time, at my age, that was I think it was 4 to 7. And then on weekends, I could do still 4 to 7. And I would just work 7 days a week. I never hesitated. Well, I turned 16. I wanted a car. And I wanted a car so bad so I could, hopefully get chicks and actually drive them around. Right? That was the goal. Right. And I went and I tried to get a car, but my mom kept telling me no. She was like, no, I'm not doing that. My dad sent me some money. I tricked him into sending me a little bit of money to buy this car. And my solution was to take one of my uncle's cars, drive it to Midas, check it out, come back, prove it to mother, like, hey, you should buy this. Like, I've got some money. I've got this. Like, this is the car I should get. Right. I'm taking action into my own hands. I drive it out to Midas. On my way back, I get into an accident. So that actually changed a lot of my life. That was one of my biggest life lessons. I had to call my mom, hey, she didn't even know I took the car. I convinced my uncle, and it was literally 2 days before I went and got my full license. So that happened. Lost the car, lost that opportunity. And I saw my mom struggle super hard to pay for that and fix my mistake.
Yeah.
That's what taught me originally that I might be her problem because I'm her kid, but that's not fair. She didn't bring me on to make me a problem. She brought me on to give her hopefully solutions. I like kids and I didn't want to be her burden. So that was actually what sparked me creating and trying different ways of creating revenue. So 19, then I get to college and I'm just fucking partying. I don't know if you want to say that. I'm just partying.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Crazy. And
Totally an unfiltered podcast.
Okay. So I just start partying all day, every day.
Yeah.
And turned about 19, and my dad had been passed. And I was under the impression, because when we were in Sudan, we had a lot of financial money. Our family was well off. Like, everything was fine. But then when we came here, we were, immediately poor. And once he passed, I thought I was just going to inherit a bunch of dough. So that's why I was okay with, like, the partying. I knew that I couldn't be her problem. So anytime I had a problem, I needed to make sure it never got to her. Mm-hmm. I would just spend my own time solving the problem. And because I was an idiot kid, there was a lot of freaking problems. So I learned to solve issues, and, like, 19 died, saw that I wasn't going to be able to inherit anything. I felt so bad because, like, I was my solution, right? That was my, like, backup plan. And that's actually when I started my first business, which was TK Iowa. And actually this one. So this one, local small business. And how I did it was I wanted to fix stuff. I was like, okay, I can fix stuff. Well, I couldn't necessarily fix stuff. My bad. After Fairway, I started working at Best Buy. I worked at Best Buy because I really, really, really wanted a PlayStation 4 and a full high-def television. And I already knew tech. So I now got to build on my skill. And I was big, so running around was hard. Physical work wasn't going to work. So I chose Best Buy because it was more mental work and tech control. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time learning more on the tech. I got into Android phones. I started hacking my phone a lot, and that really taught me a lot of the tech. But as a computer sales dude, I became manager. And I only became manager because after my dad died, I had realized I needed to make a future, right? Like, I had to do something, you know? Yeah. And college is great and all, but after I graduate with a job, I'm stuck at a cap. And I realized that because every job I got, I would see older people who had these jobs that were not necessarily great jobs. And it pushed me to go, F that. I don't want that. I do not want to work somewhere and not be able to, like, control the future and learn. Because if you can't really control your own future and you're always on, like, a string, you're kind of screwed, right? Yeah. So that was my, like, okay, how do I make sure I don't have that problem in the long run? Becoming a manager at Best Buy.
How did you come to that conclusion of, working at Best Buy or working for somebody else wasn't what you wanted to do forever? Like, what was that light bulb moment for you that said, wait a minute, I need to get out of this before I continue down this path and I'm just a cog in the wheel?
I think I want to make this even a different way to say it. I don't know if people would like this, but or maybe they will like this more. But I don't think necessarily being a cog in the machine is bad. I think I just made a decision to never be a cog in a corporate machine that I couldn't impact the future of or be able to help create. Yeah. I didn't want to be capped because somebody else was capping me on their own.
Right, which usually happens when you're working for a big business, right?
100%. But there are ways to work for a big business where you've made it in a position to where you can make those changes and secure your long-term position. So, like, I don't even really want to hate on people who do that, because there's people who were smart enough. I just want people not to be in the rat race, right? Exactly. Where, like, you don't have control of what's next, and you literally are capped. You are going to get $50K a year, and that's it. There's no more. There's no way to sell for more. And then here's the thing: people work 9 to 5, and then they think that's enough for their day. And it's because they're mentally drained for shit that they didn't like. So after all this mental draining, then 5 o'clock comes along. They just want to go home and relax. Well, now that 5 to 9 or 10 or whatever in their cycle, they've wasted that time in a sense. Yes, they've enjoyed it, but at the same time, they haven't created any new value that's going to save them from the later. So they're always stuck on that 9 to 5 same string, which then results into some people being depressed. And I mean, think about it. America right now is like 30 or 40% depressed, I think. I don't know the exact stat, but that's crazy.
No, I think that's a really great point. I mean, and you're right. There are people that are working the 9 to 5 that still have a chance to move up the ladder within that organization that they're in. And there are a lot of people, that are working the 9 to 5 that actually enjoy it, that like it. But for the same amount of people there are also maybe, in fact, more people who are working the 9 to 5 who want to find a way out, right? Who are not doing something they love, who are stressing the hell out every single day. And every day is a struggle to wake up on a random Wednesday. And it's like, I got to go to this damn job again that I hate. Right. And that's what this podcast is really for. It's for anybody who's looking at an option to maybe start something. And here's the thing: you don't have to fully be removed from the 9 to 5 to start something either. Right. I mean, you could do it while you're still working. And part of that is, to your point, Mo, like finding that time after work to be creative and, think about, hey, where are my skill sets best used? What could I start on a low budget? These sort of questions, right? To kind of get you started.
Yep. And answering those consistently is the key. So to go back to that story, I then started working at AT&T. Here's what happened. Best Buy wouldn't let me be on my phone. And I said, this is bullcrap. I can make way more money on my phone. Like people text me and want me to get their devices, right? So like, this is what I used to do. I would go to school, right? And I went to the U, and I would go to, after school, I would go pick up, I'd go to my Best Buy. I'd work from 3 to 9 or 3 to 10. And then I would go pick up people's devices late at night. And I'm pretty charismatic, so I could call, apologize, go meet them at night. Like, I'd convince them it's okay, right? Go get it, take it to my little shed that I had, right? And what happened was I had met a friend named Richie at Best Buy who's like, hey, I can fix stuff with you, and after I left Best Buy to get a phone so I could get more devices in, I started working at AT&T because AT&T let me use my phone. So that was like, okay, that's the key. That's the best way to do this. I would work at AT&T part-time at first because I went full-time to school. And then part-time after that, I would go to be my tech business. And because I still had my old party connections, after that, I would go party and meet people and communicate. So at that time, TK was running, but it wasn't making me any money. And for me to pay for it, I would use AT&T made money because I was a really good salesman. It takes me a while to learn a skill, but then once I perfect it, I do it really well and I do it consistently. And I think that's the best way to have freedom. The biggest trick is just consistency. You don't need to be intelligent. Like, I'm not intelligent. You don't need to know a bunch. You just need to be willing to do something consistently for a long period of time.
Right.
And if something is your hobby while you're working, then you're doing it consistently. So TK, my friend ended up joining me named Richie, great guy. He would fix the devices. I would go check them in, check them out. I would teach older customers how to use their stuff. And I did that for a while working at AT&T, part-time, going to school. 3 years into this, a couple of guys that I knew from school came to me and were like, hey, we build websites. Can we do something with you? And I was like, well, I'm a seller. I'm always working. I meet a lot of business people. How about we do that? So I partnered up with them, took a small percentage in their business. And that's what first taught me how to buy businesses and stuff. And then in 2015, roughly, I had finished school, decided, got to the next step of, okay, I want to keep TK going. And while I was doing TK at night, we would throw shows for events. So anything I was doing, I was always trying to monetize my time. I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah. If your time is not being monetized or used to create an opportunity to be monetized, then you're wasting time.
Well, to that point, Mo, there's an old saying. This is something that really stuck to me when I was working the 9 to 5, and I was really trying to find something else and a way out, really. I mean, and there were things that I liked about my job, but there were more things I didn't like. And the one thing that stood out to me, I forget where I read it or where I saw it, but if you really want to be wealthy, and, success means something different to everybody. But for a lot of people, it means having enough money to do the things you want to do when you want to do them, right? If you really want that, you can't trade your time for money. The more you do that, the more you're capped, right? So creating a business where you literally make money while you sleep, right? Right here on YouTube. We're going to record this, put it out into the ether, and hopefully people will watch it a week from now, right? Where you could be having a beer and I could be having a beer over here and somebody's watching our video, right?
Yeah.
That's an example, right? Or creating a product that you sell. And the internet, of course, allowed that for so many people to happen. But I just want to make that quick point. Like, trading your time for money, you're going to be capped at some point, right? Because people are only going to pay you for that block of time while you're there in that desk, right? Yep. Or what have you. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, that was a perfect point. To add to that, so I basically, working at AT&T, tech business, web business, I would sell to customers for the web business. Then I would pitch them the tech stuff, and then my teams would just start doing them. And over time, actually, a great side note, to take risk in multiple. If you're wanting to be free and have that freedom, then be willing to take risks and be educated about those risks. And what I mean by that is in 2015, listen to this pool of soup, you guys. Our tech shop had now moved to a big garage. Okay. It had a lot of space. It was huge.
I'm just putting a little music on in the
Oh,
background. I should have warned you. I was like, you know what? I forgot to put this on. Is that too loud? Or no, maybe,
no, I don't think it is. I just really good.
Just like a little, little background jams. There we
go. So I had this big warehouse basically, and one of my friends comes to me and goes, "Hey man, I think you should mine Bitcoin here." And I looked at him and I said, "You're an idiot. That's drug money." Because that's all that I learned about it back in the day. Right. 2015, right. Okay, I was slow to progress. 2016, he brought it up again. I said, "Bro, you're an idiot. I'm not touching this stuff. Like, I don't need that's. I'm not paying that electricity. I've got to pay for my guys. You know, we've got bills. I'm still not making money from these businesses. I'm literally paying for it from my job. Like, no way, bro." 2018 hits, and it was probably the biggest mistake I had made because that's when Bitcoin had hit 20 grand.
That was the last bull run previous to the 2021 run, right?
Yep.
Right.
Oh, dude, that was my biggest learning lesson because in running these businesses, they were working. Like, bro, I had employed about 12 people in total for both of them. We were chugging, you know, we had business partners drop off, new ones add on, and things change in a business. And you just have to be willing to adapt and move like water rather than be afraid and just so stiff and want it all to be the same. You have to move. I don't know if it's getting there. Okay, so 2018 and a half, or halfway into the year, I had become really overweight, like really big. And in 2018, let's stick to that. 2018 and a half, I had become really, really big, and I realized it, and it stressed me out. I'll say the whole story. I decided to make a change, and I was like, look, I gotta. No. I hated the businesses. That's why, you know, when you're like business and having business is great. It is, but you have to make sure you have a long-term plan. And I didn't have that plan in 2009. Right. All the bad things. When I first started the first one, I didn't really have a long-term plan. I was just like, I like this. I'm good at it. Right. I'm gonna do it. You know, like it. Sure. So 2018, I started hating them all because there was so much work and such little input to me. Right. And I was like, I was literally working full time while running all these businesses and doing all their stuff. While I'm at work, I'm doing their stuff while doing the work. And then I'd come home, do more stuff. And I guess you will also fail in business because in 2012, like when we were doing those shows, it had grown into doing big venue shows by 2015. So during the day, it's going to work at AT&T. During the afternoon, I'd work at the tech shop. And then at night, I would be throwing parties and ragers because I knew how to do that. Right?
Yeah.
But in that business, I had met some guys, and they had back in the day, they had made a little like a machine that would turn food into edibles in a sense. Mm-hmm. So like we actually went to the High Times event in 2015 to sell the product, and that business actually failed. You know, but I saw that success is buildable on a business from seeing that. Like we got an offer for $1 million. I was like, whoa, what? I'm like a kid making $2,000 a month, $1,000 a month. Like this is crazy. But it failed. And it also showed me the ups and downs of a business. So in 2018, I was like reaching the ends of like, man, I don't even really want to run these anymore. This sucks. I'm so big. I just feel like crap. My home life sucked. And I needed to make a change. So I was watching YouTube, and there's this trader, and he was trading crypto. Okay. And I had already missed that first run, and I dove in. I got addicted, this is like, remember when I first bought my first phone, I got addicted to making sure that happened. Like every time I make a big life change, I do it as hard as I can. So I started trading, and I actually ended up being a crazy risk taker. I took my whole 401k out from AT&T, and I traded it, and I lost it all.
Wow.
Right? So that happened. And then I realized that I was trading wrong. I was just trading on emotion, and I was trading to get out of a trap rather than create a solution. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you probably weren't thinking about it long term. You were thinking about it short term. Like, how can I get this quick fix? And just, right.
Yep. And you can never fix anything quick. It's just not how things work. It takes time and changing, adapting.
Sure.
So I cried to my mom because that's what every, good 20-something-year-old would do. and she felt really bad, but she's like, look, I think you could trade. You're not an idiot. I mean, I don't think you're an idiot, but let's see. So she gave me her little check of it. It was like $15,000. And I took that, and I wasn't going to lose that. Hell no. It's not my money. Like this old little shriveled lady gave me this. I'm like, no way. No way. Okay. So instead of trading it, I decided to start studying because the first set of trading, I just jumped in, created accounts, started throwing money left and right, shorting, buying, longing, everything, just every day.
Options, all the crazies.
I
All
jumped into every tool I could, right?
yeah.
So, and to not lose her money, I decided to study. So I would spend from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. studying crypto trading. I bought Philicon's courses, I bought other YouTubers' courses, and I just compiled them, and I would take them all multiple times, and I would make my own notes list because I'm a slow learner, and I know that as a defect. So to compensate for it, I just have to do double what a normal person would do. So I started doing that, and then in 6 months into it, I started trading some of her money, and I lost $1,000. And I was like, this is not good. But in losing that grain, I had traded like 500K in volume in 30 days. And once I realized that, I was like, okay, that's actually not a bad number. That means I could do this, like mathematically, this is doable.
Mm-hmm.
I've been into this for about a year. In the midst of me doing all of this while working at AT&T, still having the businesses because they had to run, because people were employed by them, I decided to mine crypto and bought a bunch of graphics cards and set them up in one of my like little businesses that we had. And basically I bought like 30 something K, 40K worth of graphics cards from all my like savings. Like every month I'd get paid, I'd just buy more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I took these graphics cards, set them all up, let them just start mining, didn't think anything about them. I just left them. In 2018 October, I had realized that I was trading bad. That was the month that I had like done the 500K and only lost $1,000. And I decided to start studying about health. So November 1st, I went balls in to the keto journey, and I didn't go into it, but I went into learning about it, right? Because I wasn't sure. Because I started working out in the beginning of July. July and October, I worked out, and I had lost 5 pounds, and I still felt shitty, and I still wasn't trading well. Because the numbers are in the pudding.
And this is still 2018, right?
This is 2018. This is like the pinnacle year to change everything.
Sure.
November, I began studying. And instead of 4 to 8 a.m. Crypto, I started. Terrible. In 20, I'm
no worries.
That bad boy out. Okay. And then in then in November, as I started studying keto from 4 to 8 every day, I literally started going to other YouTubers talking about keto, and I just went in and I made my own little giant notepad. Same thing I do. It's the best way to learn, just to keep doing it.
Sure.
November, December, and January, all I did was learn about keto all day, every day. Didn't even like do much work. I just focused on this. I just let everything sustain. I just focused. January 28th, 2019, I decided to do keto. And it was the biggest questions I kept asking myself was, can I do this full time? And what will be the long-term impact?
Yeah.
2000. Actually, Zach, I don't know how to get this to you, but if I send you a picture, you able to put that bad boy up?
Yeah, should be able to. Yeah. Yeah, if you send it to me in the private chat there on StreamYard. And for those of you just listening, we'll explain what the picture is.
Oh, okay. That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. It won't let me put it on StreamYard, but I put it in the chat, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Is that all right? I tried. So 2019 January, I jumped in. I had one of my roommates who worked at my tech shop with me. And I said, look, bro, I'm going to pay you a little bit more, but you're going to make me all my food every day, and I'll cover your floor time at the shop when you got to do this. So every morning at 4 a.m., I went back to studying crypto because I wasn't needing to do much keto. And I knew what I was going to do. I had my regimen, my plan. Then every day I'd send them a list in the morning. This is what you're going to make at what time. And I would intermittent fast. 3 months into it, I had lost about 50, 60 pounds. And people thought that was crazy. I didn't even give a shit about the weight loss. I was literally doing it to fix this thing so I could not lose my mom's money, because that's just not fair to her. That's literally what triggered all of it. I've been enough of a burden. Why do I want to keep adding on? Like my failures aren't her failures. Yeah. So that was me.
Oops.
That was that. So that was me prior to the journey. Weighed about 310, 320 pounds. I'm 5'6", so not great, And basically, I can't. That's crazy to see,
Yeah. That's awesome, man. By the way,
dude, my whole life I was like that, Zach. So like that was a crazy thing to have. Seeing that I could change, right, bro? Like I never thought. I just knew my dad was overweight. My dad had died of diabetes in 2009 from being overweight. He's like 500 pounds, and because of that, I was like, that's my trajectory.
Yeah.
So once I did this and my trajectory had changed, like literally the weight loss was a free bonus to this brain juice that I was getting every day.
Oh man. It's real quick on that point. I mean, how much more energy did you have? How much more motivation did you have? Because, there was a time back in 2016, 2017, where I was about 250. I was about 230, and right now I'm about 180.
Good way.
So that was a lot of weight for me to get off at that time, like 50 pounds. And that was, dude, it's amazing how much mental clarity you have and how much more you can get done in whatever it is. I mean, whatever it is you're pursuing, it's like, man, it's crazy how much it affects your mental game. It's like the physical benefits are amazing, right? But for me, like, I still go to the gym 3, 4, hopefully sometimes 5 days a week, so some weeks are better than others, right? But the physical stuff is great. And I love seeing the results there. But more than anything, man, it's the mental clarity and how much just nicer of a human being I am to people, how much
you're less angry and
patience I have, and all of those sort of things, right?
Yeah, no, health, bro, it changed everything. Because before I dreaded getting, like I got up, but I hated it. And then in those 3 months, like, bro, I was excited. I'd get up, go to the gym in the morning. I would start working. I worked twice as hard, twice as long, double the task output.
Yeah.
Right? For all the businesses, got more sales, got more leads. And
people have this misconception too, real quick on this point. It's like, if I go to the gym, I'm going to be more tired during the day. It's the exact opposite.
100% the opposite.
It's the exact opposite. It's like, no, like you do that and you have more energy throughout the day. Which is kind of crazy.
I think it's the best way to get energy for the day.
Yeah.
And being actually overweight, it is scientifically proven that being overweight slows down our brain functions. Like it literally does. Like that's what it does, So I started 3 months into this journey. I started finally trading again. And from like July that year until I think November, I had made all the 401k back. I paid her back. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I had a little bit more money to add to the flames to like grow the other businesses. Because at that point, I had lost the show business and I had lost the out there business. So, but I kept the tech, and I kept TK, I kept Esper, and I kept PSP, which was just doing little packaging at that time. And as I started getting healthier and looking better, actually the businesses were growing and more people would come to me and pitch me their business. And I started realizing like my real skill is like I can help anybody grow their business because I'm very adaptable and I'm slow to learn on the business, but once I learn it all the way, it's very easy to make adjustments, maneuvers, because now I've been doing it for so long, managing so many people at such little margins.
Sure.
Like bootstrap everything all the time. And it gave me a lot of connections and it gave me the way to build things really, really cheaply. Like most people get on YouTube and they're bragging about how much money they're spending a month. I'm the opposite. I'm going to brag about how much money I'm able to save a month, right? Because it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you keep. And that's how you grow a business. Because the more money the business has, the more life it has, and the longer life it has, the more chance it has to grow or blow up. Kind of like the mining. So 2019 finishes out, and then at that point, I'd met a guy who had who was a hair cutter, greatest barber ever, I think. Decided to partner up with him, and he started. Came next door to my tech shop, and I would like give him some of my resources, and that's what first gave me this concept. And then I had another great guy who did like lawn. He came on like my helps. I'd help him like with his web stuff. And we became kind of like a little syndicate of people grinding all the time, a bunch of entrepreneurs working together and every day. And then 2020 came along and the virus hit. Mind you guys, I worked at AT&T all this time, right? So people always are like, oh, working so many hours is wrong. No, it's not. If you don't do it now, you're going to do it later. Question is, when do you want to do it in your life? That's my question. You trying to do it now? Or are you trying to do it when you're 50? You trying to do it when you're 60? Like, what's your goal here? Yeah. And if you don't know, then you are not making a long-term plan. So
that is crucial right there. Long-term thinking. And I think that is something that every successful entrepreneur has, this long-term thinking. And it's so easy to say that, but so often we get caught in our day-to-day, right? Like, what produces anxiety? It's like caught too much in the daily grind. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my gosh, I've got this coming up and I got this coming up. It's like being able to compartmentalize, right? And just realize, okay, here's a small task sheet. For example, for those of you guys watching this, I mean, here was my task sheet just from 7:30 to 11:30, right? Just blocking off this time. And it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on this rather than have your brain going 5,000 different directions. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It stresses you the hell out, man.
It does. Actually, bro, I really love that you said that, because like having all these business people are always like, oh, you have too many things to do. I'm just like, no, you're just not focused on them long enough. You know,
right?
Like seriously, I love when people are like, oh, you're overwhelmed with stuff. It's like, what? I literally have these job lists. Yeah, there's a lot of them, but the way to do it is to sit down and focus on it.
Speaking of businesses, so how many businesses do you have now?
Well, so the cycle keeps going. Now I think in total LLC, I think we've got like 8 or 9, maybe 11 in total.
Insane.
And not really, because there's a big team now, and there's so many people running their own pieces of them, you know. And I learned that from watching all like I think the biggest value I could help a lot of people with is as they have a business that they need to scale. I've already been through that in a lot of different ways. You know, I've learned to scale production. I've learned to scale management. I've learned to scale HR. Like there's so many different ways of scaling that need to happen that it's nice to have a piece in them all. And
you've seen what's worked and what hasn't worked. You've seen, here's the thing. We say this all the time and it sounds like it's lip service, but you learn so much more through failures.
Yeah. I think you actually only really learn through failures.
Yeah.
Especially if you keep doing the same failure, you'll definitely you shouldn't make it again. The smartest people are the people that make the least same mistakes.
Yes. One of our previous podcasts, the title of it was Fail Fast and Win Big.
Right? It's a very good title.
Yeah. I mean, just fail fast and you're eventually going to win big. You're going to find something. But yeah, man, go ahead. Just talk more about the business is growing. So at this point in 2018, you've got like 3 or 4 businesses now.
We had 4 in the pipeline working together.
Okay.
Then now we get to 2020, virus hits, everything shuts down. I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna just lose it all. And that's what really taught me how to like create security for the businesses. So basically, in the middle of 2020, yes, everything went down, but because we were a web and a tech shop, actually people still kept coming, right? Like we actually got more clients, and now AT&T wasn't asking me to come in because of the sickness. So I basically just spent that time focusing on trading and taking care of the businesses. And the other one, like the barbershop, the other guys, they were just running. And 2021 happens, so September 2020 happens. And at that time, I had been on keto for that 3.5 years. This is like my final form, I can say. Like now I'm stagnated. The weight loss, the muscle gain is what's happening now.
Yeah.
So basically, September happens, and by September we had 7 businesses, because we had the tech, the packaging, the crypto, the web, the crypto trading was a separate entity. Then we had the lawns, the barbers. So we're at 7, right? And then I had jokingly said to my mother, because she was getting really old and sick. Like, I mean, she was always sick, just always had some problem, like Crohn's disease, just something, And 2019 or 2020, I go, or all throughout 2019, as I kept like losing the weight, I would pitch her. I'm like, you should eat this way. You should eat keto. You should just eat keto. Like, if I can do it, you can do it way better than me. Like, you can make food. I can't even make food. You can do this, Yeah. And no, I'm not doing this. This is crazy. This is stupid. There's no way you should eat that many eggs a day. You should never eat this much fat. This is terrible for you. Standard shit I hear all the time, right? So sure. I just kept pushing because she's my mom, So I started sending one of my employees to go to her house in the middle of the day in 2020 because we had nothing much to do. They were already paid leavers. So I was like, you got to do something. So they'd go to her house and they would throw away her like bad food. I would send them with a list of what to get rid of while I was working. And I'd do that consistently. She'd get really mad at me, but I had to try to push, Then in September, she goes, look, I'll do it if you build a store. And it was like a joke, So I find a restaurant, right? And I decide to show her. And it was like our last picture together there. And she was like, oh, this is a really cool idea. And she came back to me end of September. Because literally September 1st, she pitched the idea of like, oh, you should do a store. Joking. She's like, if you had a restaurant, I would eat there every day. Then you could shut up about it so I don't have to make this food, I go, all right. So let me take that a little back a step. All 2020, all of my other owners would come and eat with me at the house. And my wife would make us all keto food. Right. And she had to. That's the only way I was willing to eat, Yeah. And I started noticing they were doing better and the businesses were doing better because now they were losing weight, getting healthier, cleaner. Right. And the ones that weren't, you could tell like didn't really have any benefits or didn't gain.
Yeah.
Just what, you could see it.
Yeah.
So that's what really pushed me to go, yeah, I think she's right about this store. We're already feeding 10 of us every day. Why not sell it in a store presence?
Right.
So I go find this place, middle of September. She comes back, takes this picture. She's like, oh, this is beautiful. Gives me that same $15K that I had given her back years ago from trading, or the year before that from trading. And it was really cool because it was like my first investment in it. So I put that money in the bank account because I get it all ready. And I leave to Cali to go get an investor because I knew for me to do a restaurant, I'd need a lot more money. Right. And I'm selling a new type of food. So I really needed to be smart and really, really frugal with every dollar, because if a business, again, does not sustain, it will die. So you have to keep it alive. Then the second day I was out there, I get a call from my wife, and she's like, hey, I left the kitchen because she was cleaning it. And before that, I could say I got the deal really, really cheap for that place. Like I'm a very smart entrepreneur with how I spend in a business to hopefully give it the life. Like I'm always going to repeat that. If you can keep your business alive, you have a chance to grow or be big. If you don't, then you're going to die. So I get a call from my wife. She goes, hey, mom's sick. Something's wrong. So she goes to her, stays with her for a couple of hours, get a call that she's now being pulled by the ambulance. Then an hour later, doctor calls me and goes, hey, we can't keep her alive. And I go, you got to try. And then she dies an hour later. And that was September 29th. So I came back a week later, or the next day. Sorry, I came back literally the next day. And because she's Muslim, we have to do the whole burial and all that. So I did that right away. I just moved on, I had to. And now I had this business to grow with her gone. So I luckily, in my business life, had one of my customers that were one of my web clients. They came by and they liked the concept. They're like, I know keto is going to be big. At least I think it is. And maybe we're wrong, but I'm willing to invest because I'm not going to do the work of setting this shit up, but you will. So he invested, and he had made a deal to invest like $140K for, I think it was like 15% of the business. And I valued the whole thing at $760 because it was a new concept. And we had our own recipes. And it's me building a business,
Yeah.
And I was now motivated by her death to change the world because I could have prevented that death, is my opinion.
Yeah, you had a purpose. You had a purpose.
And my logic to that is, if she would have just made that change a year prior, maybe this would not have happened. And I'm always going to believe that, no matter what, right? Like, there's just no way not to believe that.
But that keeps you going on days that are tough, right? I mean, having that purpose. I mean, we can have a whole nother podcast on that. I mean, it's awesome just to hear how much adversity you've overcome through the ups and downs in a very short amount of time too.
Thank you. I mean, bro, I had to. There's nobody else, right? Like, if you have to do something, you're gonna do it. I think, especially like just in my life, I had to, right? I had to do something. I would do it. Yeah. So now we start this store in 2020 December. Opened a freaking restaurant, prime coronavirus time, and it was actually a good thing for us because so I hadn't been back home in 10 years. After my dad died, I never went back home. So I finally went back to Sudan because of this death, and I had to go meet everybody again. And December 15th to January 15th or so, I was gone.
Yeah.
And I had not been eating keto all that time, 2 years straight, right? I maybe had 2 cheat days, right? Total. And in that December, when I got there, I had to fast the first week. I just fasted all week. People think that's crazy, but I was not going to eat their food. It's all sugar and bread.
Wow. Yeah.
And they just kept going, religiously, this is wrong. You have to eat with us. It's how they pass their time, I think. So I ended up I was like, you know what? I'll eat with you guys for these 3 weeks. I just ate with them their normal meals. They'd eat 5-6 meals a day, just like we're all taught, And I gained about 28 pounds being there. But I had met my family again, made a bunch of connections. It was the most beautiful thing. And it just brought spirit of my old culture and why I like being Sudanese, to be like happy and love each other, right? Because like that is you share everything there, and that's a very valuable trait that I think helped me throughout my life. So re-upping on that was very helpful to move forward.
Yeah.
We come back and the business is open, and now we're just chugging along, and we start adding services as we start perfecting our meals and our recipes. And we basically use that whole year to test recipes. Like, bro, now we make keto lasagna, where back then I couldn't have that. I eat donuts every day. I eat brownies every day. And I named it the Keto Kitchen because I'm pretty lame.
Yeah.
I'm very creative, but it's right to the point. That's what it is.
So if you're in Iowa, make sure you guys check out the Keto Kitchen.
Anytime, any day. And we're starting to be able to get it organized to ship to you. So just give me some time, but don't hesitate.
That's awesome.
For me, it was really the test to see if this worked for other people, right?
Yeah.
Because the things I would hear is, this isn't going to work. This is stupid. You should not eat fat. American government says don't eat this way. You know, they're just trying to pound sugar down your throat everywhere.
Yeah. They want you addicted to the high.
And the high continues because it's easy to like stay high on it, right? Because it's legal.
You just want more. Yeah. And you crash off it and what have you.
And when you crash, it's hard to come back because, again, when you crash, your logic is I need more food to keep going.
Right.
That's actually the opposite need.
I need another soda.
Like literally.
Yeah.
So then by then, too, I want to add, we had lost the barbershop. Deal just didn't work out as well. Like he just wasn't showing up all the time. In his mind, I wasn't doing everything he would want me to do to grow the business. But in truth, for me, I think that I learned in that scenario is how much time the entrepreneur you bring on is willing to spend on their business. And a lot of people work in their business and think that's working on their business, but those are two separate things.
Yeah.
Working in your business is different from working on your business. So I learned that, you know, you have to pick your partners wisely on their effort and their long-term vision for the company as well.
Yeah.
So 2021 ends and the business is still going. The kitchen had now added on meal prep and it had added on weight loss. And 2022 hits. The miners are still chugging, making their own thing. And now basically we run roughly, I think. So my main thing, I spend more than 60 to 80 hours in my week. So I work about 120 hours a week, right? And people think that's crazy, but I don't agree because I love every job I work. Right. And I currently have to spend roughly 60 or so hours on average to the kitchen and the kitchen planning. And I focus, work on it, deliveries, anything I can help to grow it. And then the rest of the time I try to consider hobby time. And on that time, I'm actually just working on any of the other businesses, which in Dale will help the kitchen grow and sell more stuff. Right. Yeah. So now I think in total we do 13. We've added on a couple of new owners over the time, right? As things are happening, I basically built our investment business to help. It gives me the resources to grow other businesses. And having those resources all in one spot is easier to allocate them, right? Like our tech shop has a drone that it uses for pictures for marketing. We've got an editor that edits for everything. And then they're able to like release it. It just makes it so much easier to have one place. And I actually learned this concept from other tubers like Hermosi and them, where they have their, you know, in his case, his acquisitions, where he's able to grow other businesses using one model. And I think that's a Warren Buffett model as well. And I do look up to him. So like seeing that, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. Yeah. And I think that's the model to really kind of grow. From my quick last thing I know, because we're running out of time, but from all these years, I basically learned to be secure for the long run. You just have to be consistent and you have to be willing to adapt. And then lastly, you have to be willing to learn new skills. So as I guess one more, I'm sorry, you have to be willing to take the risks on as many things as possible. So if you play in your risk and your loss variable on that risk, it's always worth it, right? If you know what you're going to lose and you're willing to lose that and you take the risk, you have a chance. If you invest in a coin and you know you're going to maybe lose $5,000 on it and it ends up making you $50,000 on it, then again, you knew your risk variable. And if you lose the $5,000, it should not impact your day-to-day life. It should not impact your next move. You know, a lot of YouTubers like Graham Stephan and them are like, nope, don't spend more than, 10% on risk and any of that. Yes, because I think in their positions, they've got those secure opportunities already. But a lot of people like in us in our positions don't have that just secure guarantee all the time from like a consistent view stream or something. So what people really need to do is not be afraid to allocate like at AT&T, I would like back then when I bought all those rigs and miners, I basically put 100% of capital into them.
Yes.
I would eat, I would spend gas, I would pay for TK, and then rest miners. Right? $2,000 that month, bought a mine, two graphics cards. Next month, all right, I can afford 1.5 this month. Oh, my other card cleared up, I'll buy one more. Like you just keep taking the risk if you're really believe in it. And now, many of them are profitable running each other. The ones that aren't get enough backing from the others to help in a sense. My main investment ones helping easily add on and onboard other businesses. So it's just kind of beautiful to watch the cycle grow. And, I think everybody should try to be an entrepreneur. Even if you're doing a 9-to-5, try doing something that you're passionate about and just monetize on it. I've seen people sell beads and they make money on beads. I'm like, that's crazy, but you can do it and anybody can. You just have to be willing to try and put in the effort.
100%, man. 100%. I was going to ask you the 3 pieces of advice that you would give people, but you gave 3 pieces of advice right on cue without even me going into it, man. But your last point was head on, man. You've got to be able to sacrifice some things when you're just getting started too.
Yeah.
I would add on that one too. Sacrifice is big. I mean, similar to your story, for about a 2-year stretch, man, I would pay my rent, which was about $1,000 a month, and I would live off $300 excess money a month. Now I had probably about 700, 800 excess, but I would take that $400 or $500 and invest it.
Yep. Smart,
man. That's all I did. And I would shop at Aldi's. Shout out to Aldi's. You can get a lot of food for cheap prices. This is not sponsored by Aldi's, by the way, but they helped me, man. They helped me really secure a lot of investment positions and really got me on the right track. So
I gotta say, one thing that you really, really said that was perfect there was you like this is to add on to the 9 to 5, where like you use your 9 to 5 to create your freedom.
Right.
And that's I think what I really want. Like, that's a great example. You were willing to sacrifice extra amenities to give yourself the chance to have that freedom later on. And now you're doing what you love, and everybody can do that. They just have to be willing to. That was what you said was the perfect point. Just sacrifice something.
Yeah.
Like Rich Dad from Poor Dad says, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he says, you're always going to pay something twice. Just decide how you're going to pay for that.
You can't have something for nothing.
Yep. That's even easier. Yeah, that's perfect. Well said.
Mo, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for the time, and it was a pleasure.
This was a great conversation. We'll do it again. And for everybody out there listening or watching this, thank you so much for tuning back in. Drop down in the comments if you're listening and watching this on YouTube, some of the points that you like that Mo hit on. Any kind of engagement, we want to hear from you down below. And Mo, thanks again, man. And we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, you guys. And yeah, please leave comments. I am a learner, and I'm willing to hear any criticism, ideas from anybody. So please don't hesitate. All opinions are welcome.
Definitely. We'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.